Okay, I'm admitting a bunch more people. And we're gonna go live on Facebook. Okay, we're recording. We're going live in a minute here. Got it.
Got the meeting with at the hotel.
So I'm just waiting for the Facebook feed to start. Okay, that's started, I believe. All right. Can't do that. Okay, I am calling the meeting. Well, I'm going to mute everybody first. A lot of background noise. I am calling the meeting to order. My name is Deva Edelman. I am your chairperson, and this is the September 8th, 2021 meeting of the Carmel Mountain Ranch Sabre Springs Community Council, otherwise known to the City of San Diego as a community planning group. Welcome, and I'm going to first. I'm going to ask our secretary John Schroeder to call the roll for us and have members introduce themselves to make sure we've got enough folks here for a quorum tonight, and then we'll proceed with the meeting. Take it away, John.
Okay, I'll just go right down the list.
Thank you.
Dan Thompson.
And folks should be able to unmute themselves.
Dan Thompson, I just unmuted myself. Business representative, been here for a long time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. John Chu. I see John Chu's screen.
Yeah, he's here. I just.
I'm here. This is John. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. All right, John, thanks. Rich Craigie.
Hi, Rich Krejci here, homeowner.
And I'm John Schroeder, homeowner in Carmel Mountain Ranch. Mark Clark.
Yes, Mark Clark's here, homeowner, Carmel Mountain Ranch in.
Okay. Thank you. Michelle Mullen.
Michelle will not be with us tonight.
Okay. Joe Valencia.
Valencia, homeowner.
All right, thank you. Kurt Carlson.
Evening, everyone. Kurt Carlson, homeowner.
Thank you. Dustin Leal. Is Dustin Leal here today?
Didn't see him come in.
Okay. Bruce Bergman.
Also at the back to school night, apparently.
Okay. And Larry Fontaine.
Larry Fontaine, homeowner.
Okay. And Kirsten Greer.
Hey there, Kirsten Greer, homeowner, Carmel Mountain Ranch.
All right, thank you. And that, let's see, that gives us a quorum. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people attending.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. And I didn't mention at the beginning, but I am holding a business seat on the board. I'm also a homeowner here in Carmel Mountain Ranch and have been here either as a homeowner or a renter since 2004. So, all right, so we need to approve tonight's agenda and the minutes that were distributed from August. Do I have a motion to do those two things?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's meeting and agenda
And the minutes?
and the minutes.
Awesome. All right, let's just do it this way. Any objections or abstentions from the approval of minutes or agenda? Hearing silence, I'm going to interpret that as a unanimous approval of both. Thank you. All right, so that takes care of our intro business and moves us into public comment on non-agenda items. So if anybody has a public comment on a non-agenda item, meaning something other than New Urban West, go ahead and unmute and announce yourself, make your comment 3 minutes or less, and that'll be that. So hearing no voices and seeing no raised hands, I'm assuming that we're all here for the big show and nobody has any non-agenda comment. So thank you. But I do know that Officer Julie Dratt is here with a police report. So we'll let her go. Good evening, Officer Dratt.
Good evening. Sorry, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Anyway, so as far as things that are going on with school being back in session and in person, just keep in mind to, slow down. During the school zones and things, please take extra caution, give yourself extra time to get there. And whether you have kids or not, slow down and be patient, please, as you travel to work. We also have school safety patrols out, so please be patient. They are there to, stop the cars. So please listen to them. Well, you're not going to hear them, but if you hear the whistles and the stop signs are down, and their hands are out, please stop and follow all rules as necessary. They're there to represent and keep the other kids safe. So other than that, just, and also don't text and drive is another big one, please. I will, I think I'm going to close on that at the moment and open up if anyone has any questions.
Can I ask you a question about the guns for gift cards?
Yes.
Esther emailed me and asked me to send this out to everyone. Is that something you were going to wait to talk about, or is that?
Well, I was hoping that, a lot of people, if they're on Nextdoor, I know that the San Diego Police Department, our media unit has put that out. I know they put on Nextdoor. It's probably on our Facebook page, etc. So maybe if you're not part of one of those groups and subscribe to it, there was a flyer that just went out, and it's going to be for a guns for gift cards. So if you have a gun that's in working condition and falls into the category, which again is on the flyer, the event is going to be held. It's going to be Saturday. It's going to be September 25th. And I believe it goes from 7. And I know it probably says to about 1 o'clock. However, once we run out of gift cards, please keep in mind, if we run out of gift cards, then obviously the event will shut down sooner. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be at Police Plaza. And again, so the flyer, if you don't have it, and I apologize because I don't have access to be able to share it, post, I know that you're able to pull it up on the screen. So if anyone has any further questions on that, or if they didn't get the flyer, don't have access to it, let me know and I can send it to you via email. And thank you for reminding me. Appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. I'll go ahead and distribute the flyer. Esther sent it to me. I mean, if people want it, they can certainly contact you, but I'll distribute it. Thank you for that. Somebody's telling me my audio is broken. Can folks hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, it's possible that my audio is broken for some people and not others, which might, well, who knows? Okay. So thank you, Officer Dratt. Any other questions for Officer Dratt this evening? Okay. There being none, we will move along. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Okay, CMR Fire, not here. Brian Jones, State Senator Brian Jones, rep, not here. Rick Hauptfield with Ryan Mainshine's office. I don't see Rick in the audience, so I don't think he's here. Tara Lawson Reamers, Representative Jeff Nguyen. Doesn't appear to be here. City of San Diego Council District 5 Representative Jack Hoprick.
Hey, Eric.
There you are.
Hey, everybody. How are we doing?
Good.
Oh, sorry. It doesn't seem like my, oh, there we go.
There you are.
Hey, yeah, a little while my camera was asleep, I guess. Yeah, it's good to see you all. Look, I'll keep it brief. Not a whole lot in the way of announcements for you. As I'm sure most of you know, City Council has been on legislative recess for the month of August. However, there is an important project coming before council on the 14th. So yes, trails. I have been in talks with the city clerk's office about securing time outside of the public comment section that is dedicated for public comment during that item. Securing 15 to 20 minutes of time for the 4 groups who are trying to present that represent different interests in the community. Those groups being CMR United, your local master HOA right now, this group right here, this community planning group, and also possibly the Sierra Club. Working with the council president's office right now, she is in communication with the city attorney's office to, I received an email from her about an hour ago around 5:30 p.m. And I'm gonna read a little language from there. Working with the city attorney's office to find the best way to go about your community's presentation outside of public comment period, so that we are treating all items consistently and fairly given the COVID Zoom meeting protocols that were given. So I should have an update from her by tomorrow afternoon. I'll be sharing that with Eric, and Eric will be disseminating that with you so that you guys have access to, you know, the most up-to-date information about what you can and cannot do at those meetings, or about how your community will be allowed to share. Did I find anything with this? Kurt, I did not find anything yet about Planning Commissioner Atsugi. I'd be happy to talk to you about that privately, outside of the meeting. But yes, a very valid point you did bring up about him, and I'd be happy to continue looking into that. Aside from the meeting, some information that is relevant to everyone here. We did learn today that ceding time to others during the public comment period is not going to be an option during this council meeting. I know that's different than if some of you watched the Planning Commission meeting or participated during that meeting. You were, or they at least attempted to try to cede time to folks. How it was explained to me today by the city clerk's office makes a lot of sense, because the Zoom webinar platform does not allow us to really verify the identity of who is offering to cede time to other people. There's a lot of messiness in terms of actually figuring out who said what, who's ceding time to who. They decided to just go away and do away with the whole ceding time mechanism. I can send the exact language that I received from the city clerk's office today, explaining their logic behind that. I sent it over to Eric while we were both, disappointed to hear that. I think we both kind of understood, when it comes from a policy standpoint, they have to cover all their bases, and it gets very ticky-tacky at that point. But I'd be happy to talk with anyone about, questions, concerns, or any comments you have about the amount of time or the rather lack of ability to cede time to others. Please reach out to me separately outside of this meeting, and I'd be happy to talk with you about it.
Yeah.
Meantime, how long does one individual get without their time in their own allotment?
I would 1 minute is the assumption right now, and I would operate all of you, if you were planning on giving comments during that period, to keep them concise to a 1 minute length of speaking time. Maybe keep a 90-second or a 2-minute version along. If you guys remember your sales days when you had your different pitches and different contexts to give your pitches. Yeah, that is the best advice. So expect 1 minute, and expect not to be able to cede time to your fellow community members.
Yeah, it didn't work well at the Planning Commission for the reasons that you're citing. They had a procedure published, and it didn't work very well. If they were able to keep an order of the speakers, and somebody would come up and say, well, I'm going to cede my time to speaker number 6 or whatever, it didn't work that way at the Planning Commission, and therefore it was all over the place, and a lot of people got short shrift, I guess you'd say, in terms of being able to deliver their message.
Nonetheless, though, I think if pending what I hear back from the council president's office tomorrow afternoon, I do feel confident that the groups that represent your community and CMR United, this CPG, Sierra Club, and the like, HOA, if they are given, 15 minutes, maybe a little more, to, really give an in-depth presentation, I think if we can get all of the message points that the community has put forward in that amount of time, that would be very powerful. And then also, if we're not able to seed time in this community, but everyone still calls in, the amount of callers calling in on the item will also be a very moving thing, and show the council members how serious the community is taking this, and I think would communicate the points that this CPG, the stakeholders in this community are trying to make. So while it isn't ideal, I do feel confident that the points that you guys have been making, that I've been working with you with for the past several months, I think that they will be thoroughly communicated to the other council members, given the context that we have. We've received, as of today, midday today, 65 letters from the community in regards to this project, which is just blows out of the water. The Junipers project in Penasquitos and any other project that we've had in District 5 coming before council in our 10 months in office. So we're giving this project and this voting item the amount of attention it deserves, that our voters are clearly letting us know that it means to them. And Councilmember Von Wilper is certainly it's weighing on her, and she's putting this the amount of time in that she needs to. And I just want you all to make sure that that our office is taking this just as seriously as you guys are. So we'll hopefully have an answer for you about from the council president's office at by 4 p.m. tomorrow. I'll send that over to Eric, and that'll shed all the light on what we can and cannot do as far as community groups getting time outside the public comment period. Sorry, I kind of dragged that on for a long time, but I just wanted to make sure I covered everything. This is a very important topic, so I will take questions now.
In terms of the developers' time on the agenda, is there a set time limit they have, as well as an order in which their pro versus opposition would go?
I believe for the designated presentation of the developer, I believe that is limited to 15, possibly 15, 20 minutes. That is a good question. I will check back with my contact at the council president's office, who's providing me who's working to get me this information tomorrow afternoon. I'll make sure she has that so that she can provide me that answer as well. Thank you for bringing that up, Kristen, because that is a very good point.
I'm seeing questions about Zoom or in person. This is a Zoom meeting.
Yes, all meetings, all meetings and city council meetings will be held during Zoom. I know there's a bit of confusion because the county started to go in person, but no, the city has been very firm. We're going to continue to be virtual for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions for Jack?
Well, look, I'll be here the entire meeting. So if anything else comes up, feel free to just say my name, and I'll see if I can help you out.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, please let me know when you know how much time we have. The community planning group believes that we can get through our presentation in roughly 8-10 minutes. Would be a little more cushiony, but 8 would be kind of a minimum. So if you could get 15 for us, if you could get 20, that would be super awesome. If you could get 15, then we could, well, I guess we can't seed our time, but the city attorney is going to weigh in and say whatever they say.
Yeah, I want to clarify. So if we are giving 15, 20 minutes, so the way it was described to me is 15 to 20 minutes would be the amount of total time we could get for any kind of combination of community groups. So so if CMRSSCC wanted to present for 8 minutes, then there would be 7 minutes left if there were a 15-minute total for other groups. That's our working understanding.
And it'd be fair to get the same amount of time as a total, as all organized groups have as New Urban West, right? That would be the most fair system.
Looking at it from I guess a purely objective standpoint, if you were to look at it with both stakeholders, yes, I just don't know if that is how the policy or the code spells out as it should be. But it's a very good point. Yeah.
Sorry to step on you there, Jack. Who was it that presented? I mean, what did the Penasquitos Community Planning Group present at the Junipers hearing?
So with that one, it was a group similar to CMR United, not city affiliated. They were called
North Action or whatever they're called.
Yeah, PQ Northeast Action Group.
Okay.
So yeah, very, very similar to CMR United in
Right.
terms of how you could consider them. And they received a 10-minute time to give a presentation, PowerPoint, showed a video, but they were not competing. The planning board did not want any of that time to present, nor am I aware of any other groups, HOAs or Sierra Club who wanted to present during that meeting, during that time.
Right. So I guess, well, prolonging the discussion is probably not relevant because we need to hear from the city attorney, but not to take anything away from the other groups. It would seem though that the city would be more favorable towards a presentation from its official community planning group. That's sort of a question, I guess.
Based off the way you've asked that and any logic I could apply to that question, I would agree.
Right.
But I guess if in the Penasquitos planning board case, if they didn't voice a desire to present,
Yeah, they didn't have
Right.
any. They didn't really have any input or whatever. Well, we'll be in touch and we'll see how it goes. There's one. Lori McCarthy is asking, shouldn't this agenda item be postponed given that it's an election day? And well, the public can't be there. The public hasn't been there since last March, so that's not necessarily a consideration. But do you guys give any thought or weight to the fact that's an election day at all, or is that? I mean, the voting is being done by mail, I'm assuming. So
certainly could. That was something when I realized that was the election day too, that it went through my mind. There is always the option that the council members can table the vote. And so just because they decide to observe the item on this day does not mean they have to give their final vote on that day. A council member can vote to extend, table, I forget the exact technical term, but essentially say, hey, let's vote on this another day in the future, which could happen, but there's a lot of ways that this could go. So I think we ought to keep our minds open.
Well, I think that, the sheer number of letters, the sheer number of callers, the fact that this community planning group has already presented individually to 8 of 9 city council people, and the 9th one popped up today. We're going to get that one in before. The council members are going to hear from us, whether we're in person, on Zoom, election day, not election day. It's, they're going to hear from enough of us that I think they'll get a representative sample of how the community feels about it. Anyway, that's
Can I ask hey, Eric, this is Mark Clark. Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, please.
So based on everything I've heard, typically there's 3 minutes given, but what happens is they see this huge amount of people or a large amount of people online, and then there's this assumption that everybody online is going to want to speak, and so they immediately reduce it to 1 or 2 minutes. Is that accurate? Is my thought process there accurate?
So in my experience, and keeping in mind we've only been here 10 months, but it's been pretty consistent. We have seen in non-agenda public comment, which is the public comment section at the very beginning of city council meetings, which we have here at these meetings. That is the public comment section that typically gets 2 minutes during the city council meetings. The public comment sections, then each item that the city council votes on or views during their meeting, item 50, item 51, and so on and so forth. Each of those numerical items has a public comment section associated with it. With those itemed public comment sections, those have typically been 1 minute, pretty much in every instance that I can remember, no matter what the topic is. So a non-agenda public comment at the very beginning, typically been 2 minutes, but a public comment section on any particular item has been 1 minute in my experience.
And this is the case. This has been the case in person, on Zoom. It's just how it goes.
My only thought process was there is if they typically gave more, which it sounds like they didn't, was that if there was a way for us to preamble this with saying, hey, not everybody that's going to be on is going to want to speak, and therefore maybe they'd give more time. If there's 60 people on and only 15 say they want to talk, then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, it's not going to be as long as we thought, but it doesn't sound like it's that way. I just thought I'd ask. Thank you for the clarification.
All right, thank you, Jack. If there's nothing else, we have a busy evening, and we'll move on, and you and I will be in close communication.
Of course. Anything else pops up, just let me know.
Thank you. Okay, Mayor's office, Mayor Todd Gloria's representative, Chris Ackerman Avila. I saw him pop in, and there he is. So if you want to jump in, feel free.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. I just wanted to share 2 updates. The first one, I guess, since we're on the topic of housing, I wanted to share that there is going to be a Homes for All of Us community forum coming up on September 23rd at 2 p.m. So if any of you are interested in learning more about what the Homes for All of Us and incentive package is, and also if you want to provide your feedback about your opinions regarding the Homes for All of Us initiative, I'll repeat the time. It's going to be September 23rd at 2 p.m. And I'll send a link where you can register online for that. Separately, I also wanted to let you all know that the mayor officially launched a $12 million small business and nonprofit grant program. Applications are live and they are due by September 24th. So if you or anyone you know are a nonprofit executive or a small business owner, please feel free to apply, and I'll send the link for that as well. Those are the 2 announcements I have, and I'll take any questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay, Christopher, hearing none at the moment. We always appreciate it when your office can make it to our meetings. So thank you so much for attending, and appreciate the communication that you and I have had, and we'll continue to keep that going.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, moving along. Planning Department, San Diego Planning Department, Tony Kempton. No. All right, well, folks will be, I guess, maybe pleased to hear that at the community planner meeting late last month, Tony attends those, and I did, well, you can watch the recording. At the very beginning of the meeting, I don't want to say I called him out, because that sounds like kind of schoolyard stuff, but I did publicly announce that we hadn't seen him for a while, and he assured me that he would be along very soon. So I guess we can all look forward to that. Congressman Scott Peters, any rep from Scott Peters' office? No. Okay, so that brings us to Neighbors for a Better San Diego. They have a presentation regarding accessory dwelling units in the city of San Diego. Do we have the rep from that group here now?
Yes, I'm right
Oh,
here,
wonderful.
Kathy McClelland. Can I screen share?
Yeah, let me find you in the list here, Kathy, and I will give you sharing permission. How long is your presentation? Just
Probably about 10 or 12 minutes.
great. Okay, I'm looking. Why am I not finding you in the list? Oh, here you are. Okay. So I'm going to say make co-host, and you should be able to share now.
All right, I'm going to do that right this very second. All right.
And I believe we can see your screen now.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can see my screen. All right, let me get rid of this. All right. Super. So do we have people from Sabre Springs tonight?
I think most of us are from Carmel Mountain Ranch, given the subject matter we're covering tonight,
Right.
but there may be some Sabre Springs folks
Okay.
watching on Facebook.
So I'd like to say hello to Carmel Mountain Ranch and Sabre Springs, if there's anybody here from Sabre Springs. And thank you guys for inviting us to your meeting. I'm Kathy McClelland. I'm a business owner and a longtime San Diego resident. I am also a college instructor at Southwestern College, and I'm here with Bob Janes. Bob, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Bob Janes. I'm a contractor, landlord, and a small scale developer. I was born and raised in San Diego. Welcome.
All right, we're here Neighbors for a Better San Diego, and we're here to briefly describe the facts, issues, and solutions around San Diego's municipal code revisions regarding ADUs, the accessory dwelling unit, what many people call grand flats. And just to clear the air, I will tell you that we are against grannies and we are not against granny flats. We're just against unlimited ADUs in single family neighborhoods. Please ask any questions to Bob. He's going to be in the chat room, or you can save questions for a Q&A if we have time after the presentation. So less than a year ago, in October of 2020, the San Diego City Council approved a revision in our municipal housing code, which effectively rezoned all single-family neighborhoods in San Diego. As we're going to show, they drastically increased the number of ADUs allowed on a single-family parcel, and in doing so, they created many hazards and negative consequences for us. When changes are this large, they should trigger direct and broad-based outreach to the public. This major revision was accomplished largely unnoticed and should have been at the very least the focus of an extensive public discussion over many months. Many people assumed then, and they still think, that these revisions were just the city complying with state regulations, but San Diego went way beyond the state codes. And as you can see here, California state code allows for 1 ADU and 1 junior ADU, but now San Diego is allowing 3 ADUs outside of the TPA, the transit priority area, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute, and unlimited ADUs within the transit priority area. California allows a 16-foot height allowance. San Diego allows 30 feet. I'm going to just admit somebody. Okay. California allows for setbacks of 4 feet on the side and rear. San Diego, 0. It goes on and on. San Diego now is waiving all ADU development fees. They're giving away bonus ADUs, and they have absolutely no restrictions at all, as does California. California has restrictions that say you can't have ADUs if it will harm public safety. And San Diego has no restrictions, including in very high hazard fire zones. There we go. Bob, I'm going to give this to you.
Okay, yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm a contractor, a small scale developer, landlord. This drawing on the left is actually a property of ours that 3 years ago we decided to build up with a granny flat in the back. Unwittingly, we actually ended up building it to what is pretty closely matches the state code now, not over 16 feet tall, not on the property lines, something that's generally agreeable to most people. They realize we're in a housing problem. We're all together in this in California. This is a solution that most neighborhoods can agree upon. For purposes of the presentation, though, what we did is we took this existing property and drew in a new junior accessory dwelling unit. And you'll see that basically you have 3 units there. It's 2 units plus a junior accessory dwelling unit. There's still trees, there's a driveway, there's parking, there's a garage. It's something that's not really visible from the street, but something that helps with the problem. What's important to note here is that San Diego has consistently said that they're matching the state law. They're not. That's where we go right into here, where it says compare the difference. For purposes of drawing this, we took the code, we read the code, we interpreted it, literally interpreted it, and we drew this. And it's important to note that what we drew was actually run by our councilman in my district is Councilman Elo Rivera. He facilitated running it through the Development Services Department. And what I'm about to tell you we drew was deemed feasible by them. This should scare everybody, what I'm about to do here. So we take this existing house, we carve it up to add 2 more accessory dwelling units. So now we have 3 units where there was once a house. The nice accessory dwelling unit that we built a few years back, we carved it up into a laundry, a new accessory dwelling unit, and now the house in the back, the accessory dwelling unit, would become a place for an on-site manager. You'll understand why you need an on-site manager, because what we would do next is one of the most egregious components of this law. We obliterate the garage, we obliterate the driveway, we obliterate all the parking. We did include 2 parking spaces below because you're gonna have to lure the on-site manager with something to live here. But what we did was what we created on paper is a 2-story apartment complex on a 0 lot line. 12 units we added. You're looking at that thinking, wow, 150 square feet, is that realistic? Yeah, the city, the state law, they consider that a minimum habitable space. And trust me, people will rent that. I don't know, maybe a student, who knows who it could be, but somebody would rent that. So what we did is we turned what was once a nice single family house into a 17 unit apartment complex. You could just imagine how many people would be living here. They think, you'll notice the storage area and the lockers, the city seems to think that nobody's gonna have cars anymore. Well, trust me, they're gonna have cars, but if the city had its way, everybody would be on a bicycle, and that's why we created the storage area. There would be, you can imagine 3 or 4 of these on your block, there'd be no place to park anyways. We'll go to the next slide now. Okay, so San Diego used a transit priority map to decide how many ADUs can be built on a single family lot. Let's go to the next slide. So the next slide actually shows what a transit priority area is. It's important to note that 60% of San Diego neighborhoods are in a transit priority area. Essentially, that means if you're within half a mile of some sort of mass transit, a bus, whatever it happens to be, a trolley, even coaster, things like that. If you happen to be within half a mile of those, you're in a transit priority area, and that would allow you to build those unlimited units. And you might think in Sabre Springs, and Carmel Mountain, you might think we're safe from this, we're away from a lot of that. I would tell you you're not. The city decided they didn't want to leave you out of the fund. So if we could go to the next map, you'll see where you guys have a little tiny spot, Carmel Mountain, Sabre Springs. You've got that little spot where the bus comes, and a lot of you is outside. This is actually where, now we'll show you what we could do outside of the TPA, outside of the transit priority area. So what you have is that monster that we designed on the right, that's inside the transit priority area. But the folks who are outside of it who think they're free and clear, you're not. They allow 5 units, up to 5 units, 5 addresses on a lot. So you have your existing house, a junior accessory dwelling unit. And instead of building the apartment in the driveway and building a nice low profile ADU in the back, we decided to build a 30-foot tall, 3-story, 3-unit apartment complex there, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths each. You can imagine there's 20 people could occupy this whole property now. We did include some parking in the drawing because it's available, so we'll use it, but you still have the storage area because it would be needed. So it's important to note that I can't understate this. If you're outside of the TPA, you're not safe. And at that point, I'd like to turn it back to Kathy.
Okay, so this looks like a complicated slide, but it really isn't. The supposed justification for this huge increase in density and all the accompanying problems, which we're going to talk about in just a couple of minutes, is the need for, and I don't know if you can see my fingers, air quotes, the need for affordable housing. But here's the rub. The developers get to choose the income level for the ADU renters. And as you can see from this San Diego Housing Commission's own numbers, what San Diego considers affordable at the moderate income range, and that's the range that most developers choose to maximize profit, is not affordable at all for the population who truly needs affordable rates. So we're looking at $1,830 a month for a studio and $2,093 monthly for a 1-bedroom. And this next slide, again, based on San Diego Housing Commission numbers, you can see that there is a surplus in medium income, in moderate income housing, and also in low income. Medium income is where most of ADUs are being built because that's the way that developers can make their most money. Where we have a deficit is in extremely low income and very low income. So the summary of all of this is that ADUs are being built in surplus housing areas and not creating affordable housing where it's needed the most. So this city is incentivizing increased density on the false claim that it's increasing affordable housing. Not only is it not achieving its goals of affordable housing, look at the cost to our lives and our neighborhoods. There's no requirement for replacing all the trees that they're going to cut down in the front and the backyards to create these ADUs. No mechanism for encouraging transit adoption. We've got developers' fees that are waived, which means that we have no money for parks or green infrastructure. They've limited side and rear setbacks. So if there's a fire risk, we're in really big trouble. It reduces rainwater absorption. And basically what we've done is we've turned San Diego from a green place to a gray place. So great for developers, bad for San Diego. And I'd like to stop just for a second to say, because Bob is a local developer, we are not against developers. We're just wary of opportunistic, if not predatory, outside investors who are unconnected and unconcerned about the neighborhoods they're impacting. San Diego is giving developers an incentive to overbuild single-family lots, unlimited ADUs, waiving developers' fees, no money for infrastructure, no requirement for parking, clear cutting of our green urban forest, homeowners priced out of the market, and a massive land wealth transfer from homeowners to corporations. The problem with San Diego's ADU codes, this new revision, in summary, is that it's really for investors and not for homeowners. It keeps would-be home buyers stuck as renters. And in my neighborhood, Talmadge, a developer just paid $50,000 over the asking price for a home in order to develop it into an ADU apartment complex, like the kind that Bob was showing you. He effectively priced out any would-be first-time owner. Fee waivers mean no funds for parks, libraries, infrastructure. We are drawing development away from the transit corridors where affordable housing really makes the most sense. And there's no consideration for public safety, particularly high fire hazard zones. Our recommendation for the San Diego City Council is that we change the San Diego ADU code back to the California State Code, which is one ADU and one JADU, that's junior ADU, a 4-foot rear and side yard setback, a height limit of 16 feet, fee waivers only as required by California, and exempted areas from ADUs based on public safety and specifically fire, traffic, water, and sewer. And we are going to suggest to the city very strongly that they develop housing on transit corridors and hubs where they really should be. So finally, we would love for you guys to take action on this and support this. We would love it if you could make a resolution endorsing our proposal to limit ADUs. Please contact your council member, Marnie Von Wilpert, and our mayor, Todd Gloria. We invite you to our website where we've got lots of details on everything that we've talked about. It's neighborsforabettersandiego.org. That's neighborsforbettersandiego.org. Join our mailing list while you're on our site. Please pass this word along to your neighbors. And in regards to SBs 9 and SB 10, please visit communitiesforchoice.org. That's it. We thank you for listening to us. And if you have any questions, we will take questions if you all have time.
Yes, this all sounds eerily, a lot of this sounds eerily familiar to us as we've gone through process in this community with our developer. Do we have any questions? Well, I have a question before I let anybody else jump in, and that is, you said that you'd like us to make a resolution, and that's something that I think we can discuss, and we'll have a lot more time to discuss next month at our October meeting. Is that too late, or how is?
No, that's wonderful, and that's fine. We would expect you to have some discussion over it.
Yeah, well, I'll follow up with, I forget the name of the gentleman I was emailing
I
with.
think you talked to Paul Kruger,
Correct, yes.
right?
I'll follow up with him and I'll get details regarding, how you'd like us to do that. And we can certainly talk about this next month. And I remember this came up at the CPC meeting as well. Did we vote to support this resolution, or are we waiting on that? I don't remember what
I don't Bob, do you remember if CPC vote to support? I think that was postponed.
Yeah, I don't remember myself. I know that there was tremendous interest in what we were presenting. I think a lot of people are either jumping on passing a resolution and waiting the month to then vote on it again, or in the month they tend to. It's pretty egregious what they've done.
I don't have the list right now, but I think we now have 10 or 11 planning groups who have voted to support us.
Okay, yeah, I saw your presentation at the CPC meeting, and then I believe it must have been when I reached out to Paul, and that's how it's
an eye opener. It's an eye opener when people see what can actually be done and what this has actually happened. Some people are curious, can this really happen? But we know of two in particular, one in Kearney Mesa and one near where I live, where they've turned a single family into 6 units with the rear is two new buildings. Imagine two new 2-story buildings with 2 apartments each. They took the garage and converted it. That's right in the heart of Talmadge. And then the other one's up near Mesa College. So it's not that it can be done, it actually is being done.
Yeah, it's happening in a community near you, and it could be yours.
I'd like to see how La Jolla takes this.
They voted immediately that evening to pass a resolution and then followed after we made our presentation. They didn't wait. They voted immediately that evening and then waited the month. I think you have some, I don't know if it's Brown Act or what it is. You have some sort of rules. You have to talk about it or whatever, but everybody who sees this and understands it's real. It's horrible.
Yeah. We did not, I didn't list this as an action item tonight. So, and that was
okay. It's okay. In the month, we keep presenting to people and the city keeps hearing what we're saying. And quite frankly, I think they're a little concerned now because everybody who hears this says, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So, any other questions from folks in the audience or on the board, bearing in mind that we have our new Urban West discussion ahead of us, and just specifically about this presentation, anything else you'd like to ask these folks tonight that would be helpful in our discussion next month? Maybe we could even have you guys come back for that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest, Eric, that we have them come back to our next meeting if possible.
Can I add something real fast? I understand you have the development in the old golf course.
That's right.
That's correct, right? So a lot of people don't understand, and this is something that gets a little in the weeds, but it's something that can be done. The ADU laws actually allow you to carve up the interior of a house. So imagine this new development happens. Somebody could actually come in and start carving up that development. And, a private homeowner could say, oh, I'll take my house and create an ADU and a JADU out of it. So instead of the many units you were thinking, it's going to be many units times 3 is what could happen.
The current development that's proposed is all multifamily. You can do this in multifamily. You can do this in multifamily too. We don't get too much into that because it really gets technical, but you could totally do it in multifamily too. There's provisions in the code. Okay, well, this to me sounds like our group would love to have a larger discussion about this. And so I'm definitely, just for everybody out there tonight, we're bringing them back. So
we'll be happy to see you guys next month or whenever you invite us. Thank you guys very much.
All right. Yeah, we're going to be in touch. We're going to bring you back. Does anybody else have any? I don't want to cut anybody off if they had a question tonight, but obviously the issues surrounding this are probably sensitive for a lot of us, and I don't want to give anybody short shrift, but we've got to move. So.
Okay, let me just say one more thing. If anybody does have any questions that they can think of later on, please go to our website. You can send us a message. We will send you an answer.
Okay, Pop, please, if you haven't already done so, put your website again into the chat.
I'll do that right this very second.
Good, thank you very much. And we appreciate you being here tonight, and we will be talking with you over the next, after the city council meeting on the 14th, I'll reach out to Paul and we'll we'll get you back for our discussion and resolution.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, I know that Troy is out of town at the moment. Do we have any report or anything from CMR United? I have them on the agenda as a TBD. I know I've been in contact with a few people at CMR United. They've been participating in our meetings with city council people. And we're gonna, obviously, as we discussed with Jack earlier, working to get them some time on the 14th. So it seems like we don't have CMRU here. I'm sure they're here, but maybe just that we don't have anything to add tonight. So, but rest assured, this group is very much in step with them regarding the trails, and they've been involved in our discussions. So that brings us to our discussion on the finalization of our presentation to City Council on the 14th. And not to reiterate this too many times, but this presentation that I'm going to have John Chu and Kirsten probably sharing some information about it, and Kurt has also been involved with these city council meetings. So through the process of meeting with right now 8 of the 9 council people, we've learned, I think we've learned some stuff. Some council members have given us even a little coaching as to maybe how to craft this, how to make it a little more impactful and more effective for Tuesday. So, you know, these council members, without telling us how they feel about it or how they're going to vote, because they can't do that, I believe we've gotten some really good feedback from some of them. And it's been an interesting process for me personally, and I'm sure for the rest of us that are involved in it. So with that, John, I believe you have the most recent slide deck.
Yeah, let me share.
Yep, there you go. So let's have you run through it. We'll have comment, questions, and what we've got to get to tonight, just so everybody is clear on what we're trying to do here tonight, is that you know, within a reasonable amount of time here, having a discussion about John's presentation and understanding that this has already been delivered to city council members. This is the most recent version, most updated form based on all that feedback and all those meetings. And we need to get to a place where we're going to be able to vote and approve the presentation, whatever modifications we're going to make to it tonight, so that it can be finalized, worked on through the weekend, and presented on Tuesday in, we're guessing, 10 minutes or less. So with that, John, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, just to clarify.
All right, Kirsten.
No, go ahead, John. And then I'll
Just to clarify, we have not shown this to anyone. It's a rework. Actually, Kirsten, you want to explain what the background of this?
So John had some really information-rich slides from the meeting in August, and we basically took those slides and continued to build them out into a fact pack that went to each of the council people or their representatives. Then based on that, we've now kind of stripped all the density, if you will, out of that presentation to make it a little bit more visually appealing. I think that, the facts are out there now. Now we're trying to really hit the highlights and really hit the recommendations of what a better project would look like here. And so, again, trying not to get into all of the size comparisons and, exact graphics and whatnot, and really kind of hit the key points in the most crisp way possible. There's probably still a bit of wordsmithing to do. I think we could, tweak wording here, but I would love feedback just over on the overall presentation, kind of bearing that in mind, that a lot of our strong oppositional statements have been widely circulated now, both in our meetings with those city council members, as well as in the fact pack that Eric sent over to them And that also included the Sierra Club EIR letter that gets into some of the specific environmental issues around greenhouse gas and VMT, et cetera.
As well as the Carmel Mountain Ranch United
Thank you. Yeah.
letter.
Yes.
And yes, so just to be clear, so everybody's really clear, what has been shared with council members so far is what was approved to present to the City Planning Commission with some very minor tweaks. And now this is the next evolution for our city council presentation. So I'm going to be quiet and let John share it.
All right, so, this is kind of summary, effectively, we voted 13-0 against it. We believe that there was insufficient collaboration, transparency, and we have these concerns that we've outlined. And so, we're recommending the project be rejected, amended as follows, right? So effectively, we're trying to sway that we believe that a majority of the council members probably made their decision. So at this point, we are swaying maybe the 1 or 2 people that have not really decided, right? And we've already given the data pack. So going forward is, we're hiding the highlights, which, integration of the community regarding deviations. I think I actually changed this to eliminate, but, buffers regarding the community space, or following the community plan space. And then one final more detailed aspect is we were saying that, okay, the community commercial that's currently next to the library should be moved to unit 9, right? So that's kind of like where the clubhouse is right now. And then from a transportation standpoint, that the current options don't address the VMT impact that we have, that the trail should be modified to be ADA compliant, that the bus route should connect to the transit station. And then from public services and facilities, the golf course is part of the current general plan. The public golf course is part of the park space in the San Diego general plan. What we're asking for is 20 additional acres to be designated for future parks to address the current deficit, as well as for future developments. And then at least one of the parks should be large enough to accommodate, soccer, sports fields such as soccer. And then the space that was the community commercial next to the library should be designated for future library expansion. The housing equity remains the same. Or we talked, 50% as a owner occupied with 50% as deed restricted for sale. That we also asked for an updated fire evac plan that addresses neighboring communities and bottleneck points. Then finally, we believe that all detailed plans should be provided to the to our community, that we should have opportunity to review and comment on each plan, and that it's really not too late to allow for transparency and collaboration. So it's kind of the really brief run through.
Okay, Kurt, since you've been involved in all of these meetings, what are your initial thoughts on what we've got here?
Well, hold on, I'm on, yeah. Well, I like the graphics. I'm married to a graphic designer, so I appreciate the graphics. I think that will speak well, and showing something different, I think, is a good thing. Even though the fact pack that we sent, is a lot more in detail. I think Kirsten's right. Kind of bearing it down. Hey, we don't even know yet, but if we have 10 minutes, John and Kirsten, you're going to have to talk really fast. I just make a concerted effort to clean up the typos, and the detailed plans it's really a detailed tentative map. Mm-hmm. That's what we're asking for, because that's normally what we're referring to, in that Juniper's plan. So that's just one little thing there. But overall, I like it.
Good. Okay, so, I mean, this is essentially what we'd like to present on Tuesday, and I think we believe we can do this in 10 minutes or less. So other comments from board members before I open it up for.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question
course.
first? So what about the other people in our community planning group, you know, such as myself, John, yourself, Eric, calling in and also providing a 1-minute spiel? Is that counterproductive to the group? If we're calling in as a homeowner or a regular community person, is that a negative thing?
Well, personally, I mean, I believe, I mean, for me personally, I believe that, you know, through the city council meetings that we've had with those members and through the presentation on Tuesday, you know, that the planning group has made its point, and as an individual, I'm going to hang back and leave room for other, you know, private homeowners or I'm not sorry, private citizens, whether you're a homeowner, renter, business owner, to call in. So, I mean, that's my personal perspective on that. But I mean, anybody else is certainly welcome to disagree or do their own thing.
It would be really good to have somebody in the community bring up the failings of the developer in providing adequate community input into their plans. The workshops were a sham, and somebody needs to address that. That's really important.
If you want to, I mean, for instance, you and whoever else you can wrangle together want to call in and, you know, 1-minute chunks with that stuff and identify yourself as community planning board members. I mean, I don't know. I don't see a problem per se. I don't know. Maybe Jack, do you have any perspective on that question?
As to whether this is a presentation that should be given as part of a 15-20 minute segment outside of public comment, or whether this is a presentation that should be given during the public comment but split into 1-minute segments. Am I getting that correctly, Eric?
I think the question is, given what we've already done with the city council members, what we've already delivered to them, and then this presentation, should individual board members, if they feel strongly about a point that maybe is not in our whole presentation, if individual board members were calling in with 1-minute segments, not necessarily unrelated to this, but not contained within this, is that beneficial, or does it detract from our overall presentation? Or should those people just call in as private citizens?
They're calling in as private citizens, Eric.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they're calling in as private citizens, but there's absolutely no reason why they couldn't identify themselves as planning board members. I think that would possibly, you know, provide a little more weight behind their words, given that being a planning board member means that you're someone who has been following this closely, and you're not just, you know, some community member, you know, speaking off of a whim. So I don't see any. In fact, I would probably encourage to identify yourself as planning board members. And yeah, I mean, pull whatever arguments from these that you think are going to make your strength, your case the strongest. I don't have, you know, much advice in the way of which points to give.
Of course, yeah,
of course. But yeah, you know, I think what's really delivering, what really, you know, makes an impact is the amount of folks calling in. That's what shows the council members that this is a series, that, you know, that's the metric that's really used, you know, because a lot of the times, you know, folks are calling in, and many times they're making great individual unique points, but it's often hard for the council members to hear those nuanced points in each individual caller when they're listening to dozens, sometimes hundreds of callers on a singular topic. What they do remember, though, is the amount of callers. So not to say that anything that you were saying is going to be undermined or not listened to. It is so important. But really, just the presence and the amount of folks we have showing up that's what's really going to create an impact for the council members.
Right. Thank you. And our overall approach here is that and this is for those in the audience that don't necessarily know what we're up to, because we had CMR United, we had Sierra Club on these city council calls with us. They have complimentary points, but some of their stuff, is either more expansive or goes off into slightly different areas. So we're trying not to overlap too much so that all of the arguments that we feel are most relevant do get out there. So that, that's our, I believe that's our intent.
Yeah, just on the volume of callers, I was obviously on city planning and I ceded my time, and there seemed to be some concern from the commissioners that people were making the same points over and over again, almost that they felt a little annoyed about that. Like, who has something new here?
Yeah.
What would be your guidance on that?
I watched the entire planning commission hearing. Councilmember Von Wolpert and I were in her office watching it on her TV in there, just the two of us. And when Commissioner Whalen was saying those things, we were frankly disturbed, very, very upset. But that's not how a public servant acts, frankly. It wasn't really acceptable. And we've been in talks with the planning department. Planning department has made some changes actually since that meeting. They've hired on new folks in terms of communications and to kind of work with our offices to make sure that we're all working with the same information and that there's more of the same page that we're working on. But we really had a bad taste in our mouth after seeing the way that the commissioners were dealing with that last meting. Particularly Whalen, and I think it was Boomhauer, yeah, that one. That's there was certain aspects of rudeness there that were just not called for. So please, please don't let the behavior or the reaction of those commissioners be indicative of how the city council members are going to be receptive towards your comments. No, every public comment means just as much as the one that came before it. That's just the public process. That you're an elected official. That's just a part of the process. If you don't like it, then do something else. That's as far as we're concerned. So say whatever you're going to say. The volume of calls, of course, means a lot. If you have unique points, of course, make them known, but that's up to the caller. Whatever you think is your strongest point, we can't micromanage that. You know what I mean? So do what you're going to do, and we're going to be happy to hear it.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and between now and Tuesday, this is all I'm going to be doing is sharing a link to the city council's website and a cut and paste of their call-in instructions and their web form. So people can follow that link that I send out, or you can go to it yourself. I'm terrible about remembering web addresses and just every time I want to go to the city council website or even our own community planning group's website, I just start typing in Google and it comes up. That Google is smarter than most of us and knows what I want to see. So all the information about how to call in, how to submit a web form, and all of that is on the city council's website. Is the agenda posted? I guess it is. People have been.
It is now. Yep. It's item 330. It's either 330 or 337. I was looking at the Juniper's agenda earlier today, and I might have crossed wires. So it's item 330, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so the agenda's there. Anyway, I'll get all those links out and again to everybody tomorrow. But it's there. You don't have to wait for me. Okay, any other board member, or we got 22 people in the room right now. I guess anybody with a comment about our presentation can go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, I've got a comment, Eric.
Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
So it has to do with the ADA compliance of the trails, and maybe somebody can understand to make me clarify, how can it get this far without the trails being ADA compliant. I mean, because that's what they're, they're pitching it as, that it's
Yeah.
going to be a trail system that, basically for everybody to enjoy. And, I'm sure that, a good percentage of the people are going to be handicapped people. And they're basically saying, hey, we don't care about you. So maybe somebody could explain that to me, how it can get this far.
It's been explained to me in the past because I have asked that question in the past. And it's been a question, I mean, Rick Smith, who was the former chair of the golf course subcommittee, his wife is in a motorized wheelchair, and this was a hot button of his from the very beginning. And we were told from the very beginning, it's not required. And why it's not required, I couldn't tell you, but it's been explained to us that it's not a requirement of the developer to do this. And our point to city council and others is, if the developer is treating this as a extension of the transit center, it's got to be ADA compliant. You can't, I mean, public transportation is ADA compliant. So if you're using the trail to get from 2.5 miles away from the transit center to the transit center, and you're in a wheelchair or otherwise incapacitated, they've got to, that's got to be part of it. And how it got this far without that, we've asked, it's been asked and asked and asked again. And I believe there's probably some stuff in the EIR comments about it. Yes, sir.
And when we the firm that I used to work for, we did a lot of public parks, and the city always, the development services always asks the ADA, I forget what they're called now, but they have a separate department that reviews all the park plans and anything with open space that has access. And ADA, you got to stay with under 5%, or you got to start doing handrails between 5% and 8%, or it's not allowed. And I've done a lot of park designs where we've had to put in these weird pushbacks, to meet that criteria.
When you say 5 or 8%, are you referring to a grade or the?
Yeah, a slope on the walkway. And so part of the deal that New Urban West is doing is that they are utilizing the existing trail system, which was not meant for pedestrians, it was meant for golf carts. And since it's been sitting for so long, a lot of those pathways are, roots are getting under them and things like that. So, I mean, they need to make that meet ADA. I honestly, there could be, because in the past 8 lawsuits happened because of this. When that law was first instituted in 91, that they had 20 years, and now it's been 20 years, but they're still fighting for that. Anyway.
Right. Well, I guess regardless of why or how it's been able to get this far without that, it's a point that we plan to make. And as many callers as want to make that point to drive it home, I think, I think that to me anyway is something that the city council members would listen to. And I think a couple of the city council members we met with, did a double take when we told them that these were not ADA compliant. They said, what? How come? Why not? And we don't know why not, but we want them to be, and they need to be. So any other comments about the presentation itself?
Yes, I have a comment, kind of more of a question. I noticed that the slide regarding scale, comparing the junipers to the trails project, that was put up kind of right at the end. Is that part of the current draft of the presentation?
It's actually slide 2. It's the second slide after the first.
Pardon me?
It's on slide 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
it must have
I think you may have skipped over that.
Yeah.
It really is slide 2. So
In the
Okay.
in the leave behind material that we sent to all 9 council members, the table, if you recall that table that we approved back in August, that has, Stone Ridge, it has Escondido, it has junipers. that the table is in the leave behind material that we have previously given them. So the point here is just to be quicker and more graphically, I guess, exciting and impactful.
And also, it's all city of San Diego. The reaction to a couple of the other ones, since they're in different jurisdictions.
Oh,
was,
right,
I'm
right,
not
yes.
as familiar with that course. That one's in Poway, that one's in Escondido. I don't know.
Right.
But this was a
No,
recent one.
Yeah, I'm not advocating, including the table in the presentation. I was just wondering if this was or was not going to be in the presentation. I think it's great, because we were talking about the junipers as something we could use as a comparable, a recent comparable, something that was just approved. So I think it's great. And overall, I love the graphics. It's a great next iteration here. Very impactful. People remember pictures. So I like it.
Thank you, John. Any other comments or questions? Or, I mean, frankly, if somebody's inclined to make a motion to approve what we've got here, then we can basically get to work on finalizing it. I mean, this is the content that we approve tonight is finalized, and beyond this, we're adding bells and whistles and, just trying to make it more impactful.
Right. It's
Finding
everything.
every typo.
It's yeah, and thanks a lot, Kristen, for really, making this a lot better.
No worries.
All the data, right? But usually
The
not.
hardest part is the narrative. Then you just got to strip everything down.
Yeah, it's so tempting just to want to dump all of the data on them. But
In this case, less is more.
That's me.
Right. Well, we all have to remember that we have done that. I mean, I think everybody on the board, the community of Carmel Mountain Ranch, should be extremely proud of themselves, because not only has your community planning group met with 8 of 9 city council people and soon to be 9, but your community group, CMR United, did the same, and we managed to get the Sierra Club on board with us. I mean, this community is banded together in a way that I frankly didn't think was possible in the beginning, and we're largely on the same page. And so I believe this presentation, what we've done with the council members already, and what other people are going to do when they call in and the letters. Again, the letters, I think if Marnie's office got 80, what did you say, Jack?
So I thought it was upwards of 80.
Well, multiply that times 9. That's how many letters, because all those same people sent letters to the other 8. So that's 700 and math in my head isn't a strong suit, but
yeah, it's certainly in the 70s at least.
So,
thank you. Yeah, I knew there was a 7 in there.
Just to summarize for the board here, right? Everything in this presentation is effectively what we've talked about in the past and last year, as well as the letter we wrote earlier this year in the presentation we approved previously. There's some additional level of detail for some specific, recommended changes, like what lots and sizes. And then I don't think we did fire evacuation last time, but we did look at that in more detail before we briefed the city council members. So, and this particular slide, the details that we talked about are deficiencies that we think that exist in the appendix that covers the fire evacuation.
Lori has a question in the chat around height matching. We do touch on height in there. Eliminate zoning height deviations. I think that would hit that point.
Right, because that was the comparison point to junipers, right? Junipers didn't have any deviations on zoning height.
Yeah. And there's, again, with the leave behind material the council members already received from us, there are more charts and graphs and detail on this. But yes, that's been addressed. Okay, Kurt, do you want to say that out loud?
Oh, yeah. I make a motion that we approve the direction of this slide presentation for next city council meeting.
All right. Any seconds out there?
I'll second that.
John Schroeder seconds. I see Bruce Bergman has joined us. Welcome, Bruce. He's here for the good stuff. All right. So we have a motion and a second on the table. John, do you still have that roster in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Do you mind calling a vote on that?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Eric Edelman,
Yes.
Dan Thompson,
Yes.
John Chu,
Yes.
Rich Kregge,
Yes.
John Schroeder will vote yes. Mark Clark,
Yes.
Joe Valencia,
Yes.
Kurt Carlson.
Yes.
Let's see here. Bruce Bergman,
Aye.
Larry Fontaine,
Yes.
and Kirsten Greer.
Vote yes.
So they're all yeses. It's unanimous.
All right. Well,
What's
that's
the count, John? Okay.
Pardon me, John?
What's the count on that?
Oh,
should be 11-0.
well,
11.
yeah, there were two. Yeah, Bruce Bergman just joined us, so it'd be 11-0.
All right. Well, this group has been nothing if not unanimous in its approach to this. All right. Well, I mean, that's what we came here to do, folks. So, I mean, that with that, I mean, that effectively closes the discussion on the trails for the evening. And as far as my chair report, I basically have been peppering that in throughout the meeting here with the discussion of our city council people meetings. And I mean, I don't know how the other members feel, Kirsten and John and Kurt, who were on those meetings. I don't know. I feel like it was a learning experience, and regardless of the outcome, I think we all learned something from going through that, and it was absolutely worthwhile. And it was something that the community had been asking us about for a long time, and then Jack and Marnie encouraged us to go ahead with it. So I mean, I feel good about what we've done so far, regardless of the outcome, which I don't think we should be under any illusion that this isn't an uphill battle to get even any of these recommendations in here. But we will do our darndest on Tuesday and see where it lands. So
Yeah.
that's all I've got.
No,
to say.
I was impressed that so many of the council people actually came themselves to the meeting. I think about half of them, obviously Von Wilpert, Kate Campbell, LaCava. I think those are everyone who came in person.
There was one other too. I forget which other one.
And yeah, and then we had reps from the rest. But I mean, it was great to be able to engage with our representatives that way. I think some gave some candid feedback to us around some of our points that help refine our message. Some gave some candid feedback around what Eric just said with the tides of development in the county and the city. But I think that that we have a strong story going in here. We appreciated that Jack and Marnie encouraged us and got us out there. So thanks, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could give you all bottle. Well, we'll wait until after the council meeting to see whether we all get a bottle of champagne or not.
It's very cheap champagne. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm getting one for everybody. It's going to be cheap, or we just come over to my backyard for vodka shots. I don't know.
We're gonna drink anyway. Either way, right?
Generally, we still booze. There's the motto.
Well, that's true. Regardless of how it goes, there'll be vodka shots in my backyard. So, Rich, come on over. Rich likes his Kentucky bourbon. I've got some of those for you, Rich. So,
all right, I'm sold.
Bring your bass guitar too, Rich. I just bought a new guitar today. You probably have me on your camera getting out of my car with it.
Oh, no. Actually, I just hung mine up on the wall back there.
Nice.
I don't play them anymore. Now they're pieces of art.
Oh, you got to get it down and play it.
Yeah.
Man. I want to hear some bone rattling bass coming from next door. Okay, well, that's all I have. No old business, no new business, no other action items. So with that, we're adjourned. We'll finish this. We'll put the polishing touches on this presentation, and I'll get information out to everybody as soon as I hear from City Council regarding the time issue. But other than that, we're adjourned, folks. Good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.